X-Men 97 made me love Cyclops. Like many a schmuck out there, for the longest time I thought Cyclops was this one-dimensional, emotionless Boy Scout who stopped Wolverine from getting the girl.
Stay away from my girl.
Even his name irritated me as a kid. Cyclops is supposed to have one eye. Just because he wears shades doesn't mean he has one eye. As you can tell, I'm still somewhat affected by this. It's not like I wasn't a fan of X-Men media. In fact, some of those X-Men movies were, and still are, some of my favourite films of all time. Having said that, all but one of my favourites don't even include Scott Summers, and the one that does, well, let's just say, he's hardly a scene stealer, is he? For the longest time, these movies were my only basis for the character of Cyclops. And then I watched X-Men 97.
Wake me up inside. Can't wake up. Wake me up inside. Call my name and say.
Now, in the original X-Men movies, Cyclops wasn't exactly well known for his large repertoire of combative moves. Pew. There was never a showcase of him using his powers in a creative way. It was just point and shoot. So let me tell you, it was so incredibly refreshing to see his powers displayed in a way I'd never considered before in X-Men 97. And what's even more impressive is how much they shifted my perspective in just one episode. No, even more impressive than that, the opening sequence. As him and his fellow X-Men tried to save Roberto in the warehouse, he uses his optic blast as a point of movement and momentum off of the floor. That is unbelievably cool. Later in the episode, Scott even uses powers to create a massive optic blast to buffer his fall as he falls from an exploding jet, before saying the iconic line, "To me, my X-Men." Which actually brings me on to my next point. Cyclops is portrayed as an actual leader in X-Men 97. I like how the show confronts his role as a leader in a very direct way, unlike the movies. In the very first episode, it's made very clear to us that Scott's responsibilities feel that much heavier with the Professor being gone. The Professor, of course, died in the original X-Men animated series from the 90s, which this show, if you'd believe it, is a revival of. Professor X then leaves another spanner in the works, beyond the grave, when he leaves the X-Men in the capable and comforting hands of good old Magneto? This is obviously a bit of a gut punch for Scott, because his morale as a leader was already wavering, and now his former mentor has signed off his team to the X-Men's sworn enemy. Only an episode after this revelation, Scott and Jean Summers' son is born, Nathan Summers. He is then very quickly put in mortal danger by Mr. Sinister, leading to him being sent to the future, as it is the only way to save his life. The massive challenges Scott faces in these episodes forges a crack in his usually tough, impenetrable exterior. This is most obviously reflected for me in his scenes with the TV reporter. And to put it lightly, Scott loses it. He calls the humans ungrateful. The X-Men constantly risk their lives just to save theirs, and yet he has to stomach questions from them all the time just to prove he is human. He claims that he lies because the truth is, mutants are nothing like humans.
Thank God, because it's the only reason you people are still alive.
This is probably Scott's lowest point as a leader. Even if it was just for a single moment, Scott has allowed himself to slip from his moral high ground, enabling the Vultures to come in and tear him and his cause to shreds. Scott cracking under this intense pressure does obviously not mean he's a bad leader. Ironically, it just means he's a human one.
Don't put your blame on me.
However, for every low point in Scott's leadership, there are many more high points. For instance, when Scott directly challenges the President of the United States himself. So in the aftermath of the genocide on Genosha, the President claims that he is playing politics. In other words, he is not outwardly supporting the mutants' cause. Obviously, Scott takes issue with this.
Be patient, Scott.
Check the headlines, Mr. President. They're all about the virtue of patience.
The President claims it's to ensure someone less kind to the mutants' cause doesn't end up in office. Sounds like a bit of a cop-out to me. Obviously, Scott agrees with me because he rebuttals, if the victims looked even slightly more human, you'd be more worried about death tolls than politics polls. Scott Summers is Professor X's star pupil. He is an excessively talented combatant, and he is the leader of the X-Men. But how good a father is he?
Try to explain. When I do, it turns the way again. It's always been the same.
same old story.
First things first, rewatching this season, I was reminded just how melodramatic superheroes can be. There is all mother of naughty shenanigans going on in this season. Scott has a baby with Jean, then finds out that the mother of his child is in fact not Jean, but a clone of her. Said clone then turns evil. Nathan Summers is then poisoned by Mr. Sinister's experiments, which means he has to be sent to the future so he doesn't die. And then after some therapy from the real Jean, the clone Jean becomes nice again, but then she changes her name to Madeline for some reason and leaves the X-Men.
Call me Madeline Pryor.
Why?
Cyclops then kisses Madeline, but not really because it was all in their heads. And then the real Jean actually does kiss Wolverine, but gets annoyed at Scott when she finds out he's been seeing Madeline. This is all to say, it felt like I was watching bloody Love Island. But if you look slightly deeper, I think you'll find some really moving stuff alongside the whole Love Island-ness of it all. Now, before the show came out, I didn't even know Cable was Scott Summers and Jean Grey's son. In fairness to myself, I don't remember there being a reference to Cyclops being Cable's father in Deadpool 2, and when X-Men 97 Season 1 originally came out, that was like the only thing I'd ever seen Cable in. Now that's enough about me. In X-Men 97 Season 1, Scott has a wonderful character arc revolving his fatherhood. I think the most integral part to Scott's character arc in this season was his own relationship with his own father. Now his own father abandoned him when he was just a child. So after Scott is left with the ultimatum of A, send his newborn son into the future without either of his parents, or B, let him die painfully in the present, he obviously chooses the former, but he refuses to say goodbye because he doesn't want to abandon his son in the same way his father abandoned him. Ironically, this means that when Cable is sent to the future and Madeline leaves a psychic goodbye message, Scott isn't there to say goodbye, to leave anything with Cable with, so Cable feels like he's been abandoned. And to be honest, he's not exactly wrong. Either way, this leads to some incredibly juicy melodrama when they eventually reconcile later in the season. Obviously, when Scott first interacts with Cable, knowing that he is his son, things are a bit shaky at the start, but things do start to go on the up and up. For instance, one of my favourite scenes in the whole show is when Cyclops gives his son his new costume. The score is so powerful in this moment, and in combination with Cable's subtle smile, it is just so damn satisfying to watch.
What'd you expect? Black leather?
Having said all that, it is the scene where Jean and Scott say goodbye to Cable that is the real highlight. Oh my god, can I just fucking finish this video? Having said all that, it is the scene where Jean and Scott say goodbye to Cable that is the real highlight of this whole family dynamic for me. And it is also the scene where Scott and Nathan really break new ground in their relationship as father and son. Cyclops apologizes to Nathan for not saying goodbye, highlighting a key difference between what happened with him and his father and him and Nathan. Scott's father chose to abandon Scott. Scott only abandoned Nathan because there was no other choice. On another note, the moment where Jean shows Cable his father's eyes was just so damn good.
They're good eyes.
And now they're yours. I love you, son.
It's crazy how much raw human emotion can exude from animated eyes. They're not real. I mean, obviously it's not just Scott who breaks ground in this conversation. Cable does too. Cable reveals that much of his tough exterior is a side effect of the life that was taken from him. For his entire life, he has longed to be in the X-Men. They were supposed to be his family. He was supposed to be a part of their stories. But I think it is only after hearing his father's apology about abandoning him and experiencing his father's love firsthand that he is able to somewhat reconcile with the life that was taken from him.
Those legends really didn't do my folks justice.
Moving away from the whole family drama and touched on something much more cosmetic with X-Men 97. But oh boy, Cyclops' costume is so much better in X-Men 97 than it is in the 2000s movies. I don't know how I'd never appreciated this costume before. The colours are so sleek, and in combination, they pop together so beautifully. Now, in terms of Cyclops comics, I have not read much yet. In all honesty, I'm at the beginning of my journey as a Cyclops fan. So if anyone has any particular stories they'd like to recommend to me, that would be very much appreciated. It's kind of crazy for me to think about how I used to think Cyclops was just some boring Boy Scout who was trying to steal Wolverine's girlfriend, to now me thinking he's probably my favourite X-Man. And this is all just thanks to one incredible season of television. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more X-Men 97 videos, I have so many ideas. I think a video about Rogue and her character arc surrounding grief would be pretty cool. If you don't want to see X-Men 97 videos, let me know what I could do instead. If you don't want to see any videos about me at all, what are you doing here? But if you did enjoy, yeah, please like, subscribe, and I'll probably see you in a month when I actually get round to uploading again.
Girl, you